Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Dan Reviews It. We're going to be looking at Love, Simon today, and I rarely get out to a Thursday night premiere anymore. That's why I kind of neglected the channel for so long. I wasn't seeing the movies in a timely fashion, but here we go. Opening weekend, got my review up for this romance movie. It is based on the book Simon, is it called Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda? And so as you can, figure if you haven't heard about it yet, it is a gay love story. And I especially wanted to see this film. I am gay. I've never been shy about that on my channel, or in life in the past, 15 years or whatever. So I really wanted to see this. And I like this kid, Nick Robinson. He was in Jurassic World, and he played the romantic lead in Everything last summer, which was not a very good movie, but through no fault of his own. But so I wanted to go out and see this. I thought let's see how they do with it. Let's see how they capture the high school coming out story. We had Call Me by Your Name recently, which was a drama for sure, but very boring. This is completely opposite of that. This is a really terrific movie. It was directed by Greg Berlanti, who many people, I'm sure on YouTube, will know from his part on the CW shows. He writes and produces most of, or has written and produced, I should say, most shows on that channel that are related to Arrow. So you've got, Supergirl, Arrow, The Flash. He works on all of that. So, but he's done stuff, more in the grounded realm before as well, and he tackles that here too. So essentially, the story is this kid is gay and has not told anybody yet, but there is this sort of anonymous chat group kind of thing, or posting group for their high school, and another kid posted that he has this huge secret, he's gay, and so this strikes Simon in a big way, obviously, and he decides to reach out to this person and who he does not know, completely anonymous, and becomes sort of anonymous himself. He labels himself as a Jacques and starts telling his own story to this person, so essentially the first person he comes out to. And so they have kind of a back and forth, and then this real kind of, I don't even want to say he's a jerk, he's just kind of a loser, he's an outcast socially, and is very, very awkward, but he stumbles across these emails on the library's computer and sort of blackmails Simon to say, hey, I really like your friend. If you try and hook us up, I won't reveal your sexuality to the whole school. So it sort of sets that in motion, and Simon ends up doing a lot of dirty things to his friends that he probably wouldn't have, that he definitely wouldn't have otherwise if he wasn't trying so hard to keep this secret. So listen, for me this really hit home. I came out in high school as well. It was my choice, unlike Simon, but I had a similar family experience. Simon's family is very accepting of that. Mine was as well, luckily. It certainly doesn't always happen, and I know that for sure. But, so, this rang a lot of bells for me personally, obviously. I cried through a lot of the movie. I think this movie really, it gets it right. I mean, it gets, it certainly gets the isolation right. Once things start going in motion, and I don't want to give away too much of the movie, but he feels, very alone and very isolated, certainly before ever coming out, but even once he starts revealing himself to Jacques, or to this blue character that he's writing to, he doesn't know who he is. So a lot of the movie's a little bit of a mystery too, with who is Blue, who is Simon talking to, and we get little clues here and there, and there's a few different people that come in as possibles. And it's really well done. And I mentioned just last week when I was doing the best and worst of the year, there's really usually only one maybe 2 high school movies that get it right every year. Last year I said it was Spider-Man Homecoming, which seems weird, but it's true. This year, I mean, maybe there'll be another one, which would be awesome as well. The more the merrier. But Love, Simon really, it nails high school. Now, there's a few things that are a little bit outlandish. You've got the vice principal played by Tony Hale from Arrested Development and Veep, who is like, the cool vice principal. And I notice he spends a lot more time touching students than he probably should as vice principal. He puts his arm around Simon at one point, and so that seems a little silly, I guess, in this day and age. It does take place in present day. You can tell that from all the music they're listening to, or at least within the last, let's say, 2 to 3 years. They're talking about M83 and the Bleachers and Drake's So Over. I think there's even a reference to Beyonce's Lemonade. So it's definitely within the last 2 years, let's say. But they really, not only do they get the coming out experience right, and look, it's not the same for everybody. That is for sure. So certainly this is not to be taken at, if you've never had any experience with gay people in your life, don't look at this and be like, oh, well, that's how it is for everyone. Of course it's different for everybody. Like I said, for me personally, I definitely saw a lot of similarities. But, the one thing I think that is fairly universal is that you do feel pretty isolated, at least for a little while, especially if there's not a lot of gay support at your school. In this movie, there was one kid who came out, and, surprise, surprise, he gets his share of bullying. And he's, he bullies right back. He stands up for himself and, questions the bully's penis size and stuff like that. So, he definitely verbally gets his. But, it really is different for everybody. So it's hard to say. But I think this movie gets so many things right. And it gets the high school experience right. And it's very Hughesian in its execution, especially towards the end. You have that like keyboard music swell towards the end, and it doesn't feel out of place. It doesn't feel dated because the music he listens to is very 80s retro, kind of like M83 and that kind of stuff. So it's like when you hear those keyboards pipe in towards the end, like you would have in The Breakfast Club or Pretty in Pink, it doesn't seem out of place, which is really cool. I thought that was a nice touch. The acting is great. I think Robinson, could be a real up-and-comer here. He really has shown us a lot of things in a very little amount of time. I thought he was good in everything, like I said, not the best movie, but he did a good job with it. But it is hard, I think, to play a character like this if you haven't been there, I don't know Robinson's sexuality. Maybe he is gay. I have no idea. I assume he's probably not. But he gets these feelings right, I think. So I think that's awesome. I think his group of friends is really good. They I didn't really recognize any of them. They may be on, I don't know, they may be Disney Channel Kids or Nick Kids or CW or something. I don't know. Stuff I don't watch, I guess, if they're famous. But didn't recognize them. But the parents of Simon are played by Jennifer Garner and Josh Duhamel, who are also great. They strike this balance. And Jennifer Garner especially, rang so authentic to me. I am tearing up a little bit. I'm not going to lie about that. Because she wants to talk to her son about it after he comes out, and also wants to leave him the space that he needs to figure out what he wants from it, and what he wants from her, and how comfortable he is even talking about it. So I thought that rang true. I'm not saying it's a perfect movie. It's not. There are certainly some high school cliches and some even some romantic comedy cliches and some silly moments, but really at its core, I mean, this is a John Hughes-esque movie. I think we can all agree Hughes was the pinnacle of that high school era. of filmmaking. I mean, Breakfast Club is more or less a perfect movie, if there is such a thing. Ferris Bueller also, goes on the sillier side of high school, but I think also does get a lot of things right in terms of feelings about high school and being a teenager and stuff like that. So here, Berlanti and I suppose the author of the original book nail a lot of that stuff. So the movie is not without its flaws, but I gotta say, I mean, the movie is a long time coming, I think we see now there's sort of an upswell of gay movies, especially since Moonlight won Best Picture. There's been a lot of scripts in development and stuff like that. And of course, like I said, Call Me by Your Name came out this year. But really, they're few and far between, and even less so that get it right. I'm going to recommend another one. This is from the 90s, but a movie called Beautiful Thing. It's from England, and it also nails the high school gay coming out / learning about your own sexuality experience. So that's another recommend. But it might not deserve it. Love, Simon. It may be a little bit more personal bias creeping in than usual, but as somebody that's been there, I think I'm a pretty decent authority on the fact that it really does get so much right about the experience. So I leave Love, Simon with an A. So far in 2018, by far the best movie I've seen. I don't think I've given anything above a B so far this year. Not that I've seen a ton, but I think Paddington 2 so far was the pinnacle. But yeah, it goes to Love, Simon so far right now. But that's going to do it for me. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.